Welcome everyone to another episode of Made It with Gaelle. Today's guest is someone that turned one of her darkest chapters into shedding light into other women's lives. Everyone, welcome with me, Ali. Welcome to my podcast.
Hi.
I'm so glad that I have you tonight with me.
Thank you for having me.
Ali, what first drew you to work with survivors of abusive relationships? And if I may add, to my audience, that when I was on the call, usually I do some calls with my guests before, shooting, and I told her, okay, how does it feel like working with victims? And and I was going on with my conversation, as you remember, and they corrected me. Mm-hmm. And you were like, I would like to call them not victims and survivors. Mm-hmm. Could you explain this point and
elaborate more?
Yeah,
okay,
please.
So what got me into working with survivors? So I am the director of an organization called Women Aware, and it's a non-profit based in Montreal, but we cover everywhere in Canada, and we work with survivors of intimate partner violence and or domestic violence. And I'm also a psychosocial intervention worker that I work with in a homeless shelter, helping sex workers, addicts, and folks who are experiencing homelessness on getting off streets. The reason I got into this field is very personal to me, and as you've mentioned, I went through some dark time in my life. About 12 years ago, I was in an abusive relationship with a man that lasted for a year and a half, and it was the changing point in my life. So I worked my whole life thinking I'll be a lawyer, and then one day I decided that I'll turn my whole life into helping women who've experienced violence the way I did. And I started volunteering with organizations, I started speaking to other women, I've shared my story, and it's just slowly opened up that field for me. And years later, here I am. The reason why I said survivor is we've used victims for so long that it's normal, so it's not bad to say victims, but we're trying to change the narrative to say survivors. And the reason for that, when you're a victim, you basically means it's the end. You fell victimized to something, and that's the end of you. Whereas if you're a survivor, is that it's the meaning that you've experienced something, you fought against it, you were resilient till the end where you were able to get out of it and survive it. So we only use victim in our field when, unfortunately, the person have passed away. So if you're a victim of femicide, rather than if you're a survivor, if you've left the relationship or you're still in the relationship, you're still a survivor because you're still alive.
I had a question, it was a bit maybe out of the scope of this maybe niche, but how could you prevent being in an abusive relationship? What are the signs or red flags that some of us as girls or maybe sometimes guys mm-hmm. can be also abused? Mm-hmm. How could we prevent them? What are the red flags that we ignore mm-hmm. that we should see?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question to ask. I would want to start by saying, you as the survivors, there's nothing you can do to stop the abuser from abusing you, in the sense that this is a decision, a conscious decision this person is making. It's not out of anger, it's not out of mental illnesses, it's not out of addiction, it's not out of anything else, or childhood trauma. The only reason somebody abuses another person, it's because of control and power. That's the only reason.
I don't know if my question was how can I prevent myself being in meeting this person,
You can't. You can't. There's no such thing you can prevent. The only thing you can prevent is, while you're in the relationship, how can you protect yourself? Because when you meet somebody, would you be able to know he's an abuser or the abuser?
I don't think so. Just you might fall in love and you're...
So what happens is, I think the more you educate yourself, then maybe you can start seeing the signs early on. You wouldn't see it day one, you wouldn't see it day two. But there is a cycle of violence. So you can Google it, everybody can Google it. You can talk to professionals like us, and we explain to you. So the cycle of violence, and it's the same no matter where, and it's the same in any abusive relationship, whether it's parents, partners, friends, anything. And it basically starts with the honeymoon phase. So we call it the honeymoon phase or the love bombing phase. It's all butterflies and rainbows, the beginning of the relationship. But then the attention phase starts. And this could start weeks in, months in, but also years in.
And that's scary.
Exactly.
That's scary.
So that's what I mean by saying you can never prevent it, because you will not know until you're in it, unfortunately. So when somebody is love bombing you, maybe slow down and start seeing those. Like, is this the honeymoon phase I'm in? Is it love bombing, or is it just excitement?
Genuine love. Is
exactly.
it,
excitement. Because there is butterflies, there is excitement when you start a new relationship, romantically or not. So is it excitement or is it love bombing? Study more, talk to people more. Don't be afraid to speak to your friends about what this person is doing, how you're feeling, so that you can, I don't want to say come down from cloud 9, but realize this is cloud 9. It's not the reality, right?
Yeah.
So then once that starts, the tension period starts. And with the tension period, it's really hard to notice that it's a tension period, especially the first time around. After the tension period, the violence starts. So it could be an incident for a split second, a minute, an hour, but this incident can also last days.
Just to clarify this, like, you mean violence could not be physical only, like you mean verbal?
Verbal. So in my relationship 11 years ago, my abusive relationship was mainly sexually abusive and emotionally abusive. So that was a year and a half of just that. So whereas I have other friends or survivors that I work with, there was other things. It could be religiously, it could be financially, could be sexually, physically, and emotionally. But one thing that is really important, all of these abuse happen. It could be like just physical without financial. It could be sexual without financial or physical.
It could be both.
It could be both, but the emotional abuse always is the first abuse to happen.
Okay.
Always.
Is it because, like, when someone abuses you, like, emotionally, and like you deserve what you tolerate in life, and if you, like, maybe you allowed him to, like, abuse you emotionally, that's when he takes power and, like, could abuse somewhere, like, in a different way?
No.
And why did you emphasize on, like, emotion?
Because the abuse starts by gaslighting. Gaslighting is not physical. Gaslighting is not sexual.
And it always starts the same way.
Mm-hmm. It always starts with the emotion. So in my personal experience, and it happens with every survivor, if you love me, you will kiss me. I'm saying it because we're in public.
Okay. Yeah.
If you love me, you will do this. If you love me, you'll do that. And I wasn't ready. I wasn't comfortable. I expressed those boundaries, but then I was guilted into it because if you love me, and I did. A survivor loves genuinely. The abuser might not love you, but the survivor loves that person. So I loved him so much, of course I felt guilty and I started giving in, and then it started. So it always starts with guilt, gaslighting, emotional abuse, and the emotional abuse can also be, I love you so much, so much, so much, and you made the wrong meal, or you added a little bit more pepper than he wanted or they wanted, and then you're the worst person, you're the worst girlfriend, you're the worst partner.
And it
starts. And then like half an hour later, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean that. That's already signs. The snapping of the changes of emotions, that's already a sign that this person is playing with your emotion.
Could we say like an abuser is also a manipulator?
Yes, 100%. They're usually manipulators, they're narcissistic. Not every narcissistic is abusive.
That's what I try to link in my head right now.
No, not every person who is narcissistic or has narcissistic traits are abusive. However, every abusive person is narcissistic. Anger issue is not a thing. Just because you have anger issue does not mean you're an abusive person. Just because you have mental health does not mean you're an abusive person. I work with folks who have mental health issues or have anger issues, and they've never been abusive in their life to anybody
else. Those are two different non-correlated.
Exactly. You can be abusive and have anger and have mental health, all of that. But you can be that without the abuse. Do you understand what I'm
I got your point.
Yeah.
Ali, what keeps you motivated to like work with survivors? And this reminds you of what you passed through, like every single day you go to work, like you're reminded of like what you passed through, how you took this, maybe hard times into a motivation to shed light or like to help other women.
So before I jump into this, if it's okay with you, I just want to finish the cycle.
Yes,
there's
for sure.
Last part that it's important. So after the violence starts, then there's the last phase of the cycle, which is the makeup phase or reconciliation or the calm phase, people call it differently, where apology starts, where crying starts, where remorse starts showing.
Okay.
I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to, I have trauma in the past, or I didn't mean to, but you triggered me or you poked me. You calm the situation, then what starts is the honeymoon phase again, but it's not really honeymoon, but the apologies and the gifts and all the romance and the butterflies.
We go back to love bombing?
It goes back into that. And then again, the tension starts, and then the violence happens, and all of that.
That's why it's called the cycle.
Exactly, the cycle of violence. Now, the periods where a survivor can leave, or they're like awake, they need to be, that's the time where it's most likely they will leave. It's basically
before the honeymoon phase starts. Like
exactly. It's when the incident of the violence occur. It's usually between the tension and the violence, because they know what's about to happen, and that's the period where they need to get out. So leaving is the most dangerous thing a survivor can do. This is the time where you're more likely to get killed. So it's very important when you're supporting a survivor, don't push them to leave, don't force them to leave. They have to be ready. But this is the period where they're more likely to leave.
And this we're talking about the support system, like friends,
exactly,
like family.
Yeah. Between these two phases are the more likely that you can get to a survivor and try to get them out. But always have in mind that this is the time where they're more likely to get killed.
How a friend or like a best friend or family member like could help in this case?
The best thing to do, because you can never stop the abuse yourself, even if you get involved physically, you get involved with the law, all that stuff, the survivor are the only person that can stop it, because by removing themselves from this relationship. What you can do is always believe the survivor. Always say, I believe you. Even if in your head you have question marks, you believe them until you have a reason not to. So you always believe the survivor, always make sure that you're a safe person, you're a compassionate person, that they can come to you. Not when you want to, but when they need to and when they want to. And always, if you're able within your capacity, so that you don't put yourself in danger, whether it's physically or emotionally, because it can be a lot to support a survivor mentally, tell that person what you can offer for them. So if you have an extra room, if you ever want to leave, I have an extra room. You can stay with me. And you set the expectation of what you can offer to that survivor. So they know if they need anything, what you can offer, what that person can offer. Never, 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 ever come with judgment. Ever. Keep your judgment to yourself. We all have judgments and we can all be judgmental, but keep it to yourself. You might not understand because you're not in that situation, but always know that this person in front of you, they're an adult. They know their relationship. They know the partner who they're with better than you'll ever know. So if that person is telling you, I can't leave right now, or I can't leave, you believe them. You tell them, okay, when you're ready, or if you ever get to that point where you want to, I'm here and I'll be there doing this and that for you.
I could help you with this.
Exactly. Another thing is make sure to have time for them. I know it can be a lot because all they want to do is be with their partner, but isolation for a survivor is both the tool to start the abuse, is isolating them, but also the consequences is also isolation.
Yeah.
So if you want to kind of support them, make sure to let them know that even if they don't have time for you, you have time for them.
Okay.
Let's go out. Come over. I'll come over. So to make sure that they're not completely isolated, because the more they're isolated, the easier they are to stay in that cage, and the easier that person have control over them. Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, so that's how you start. We have a lot of families and friends that come to us, to my organizations, to ask that question. I have a sister, I have a friend, I have all that are in an abusive relationship. What can I do? And so that's another thing you can do, is go to professionals and get support and get resources, and then go to the survivor, be like, when you're ready, I did my little homework, this is what I found.
Yeah.
But only do that when they already open the conversation of them thinking of seeking support, or them, maybe I am in an abusive relationship, I don't understand what's going on.
So they have to admit that.
They don't have to admit,
or be conscious of what they are in.
They have to start with the question, because when you first start, you start questioning, why am I feeling this way? Why am I feeling crazy? I'm not crazy, they did this, why is it my fault now? Yeah. Why am I being treated this way? So they're going to come to your friend, to their family, whoever they feel safe with, and they're going to start seeing, I feel like it's my fault that they're acting this way. And that's when you know they're starting to question.
Okay.
So they're starting, I don't want to say this, but quote unquote, they're waking up from their addiction. Because when you're in that cycle of violence, you're addicted
to the abuse.
You're an addict, basically. And it's actually, it does mess up your brain and neurological in your brain. So it is similar to addiction.
And we're on the call, you told me, and abused women are not weak. Why did you mention this on the call?
Because a lot of people, one of the things one of my friends told me, Ali, I can't believe you're in an abusive relationship. You're such a strong woman. I've known you my whole life. How did you let him do this when you're so strong? And that's very triggering, and that's very harming to say to survivor. I am strong, but me being in an abusive relationship is not reflective of that, of my strength. No,
exactly.
Because I loved somebody and they used that love against me. That has nothing to do with me.
And it was a big love that could be used against.
Exactly. That has nothing to do with how strong I am, how intelligent I am. Many survivors that come to us are personalities and characters in our society that are known to be very strong women, whether they're in the legal force, whether they're in the news, journalists, police officers, lawyers. We get those women who we consider are strong, independent women and who are still in abusive relationship or have experienced abusive relationship. So it has nothing to do with your strength. The reason why I say survivors are strong people is because in that relationship, you're fighting for your life.
100%.
You're fighting for your life. Leaving the relationship.
You're weak if you don't fight. You're weak if you don't try to do something
if you're
about
just taking it. But no survivor, I have never met any survivor that just takes it. So when you're asking, how did you just take it? You didn't. One thing, I did a little exercise with myself, and I do it with every survivor when they think, oh, I let it happen, I'm so weak. I sat down with myself years after the abuse, and I start writing a letter to myself. Okay. And in that letter, I wrote everything I did to help myself to be safe in that relationship. Not leaving, because I stayed 1.5 years. I left 3 times and I kept going back.
Okay.
So I knew the leaving is like the last thing I did. So, but what did I do in that relationship from the beginning till I left that protected me? And I start writing down. So one thing I did, I used to pretend I have my period, because my abuse was sexual violence. But if I have my period, he will not touch me. He was disgusted. So I pretended I have my period longer, or I pretended, oh, because I have irregular period, oh, it just showed up out of nowhere. I pretended I was sick, so I couldn't go see the person. I pretended I was grounded. At the time, I was 18, 19.
Okay, so like,
I did little, it's not true, but he didn't need to know that. So, oh, my dad grounded me and he took my phone, and that's why I can't go out tonight. This is me fighting against the abuse, because I know if I go, something will happen. Another thing is, he would get angry if I say a few comments here and there. So I decide to not talk.
Yeah.
And I know some people are like, what do you mean? But when I would be with him, I literally would not talk. We would spend 2-3 hours of me complete silence.
Wow.
But that's me fighting, because I know if I say something, he will get mad and he will use it against me because I said it, that made him mad.
So you did not give him anything anymore, just try
so that's me fighting back. And sometimes, unfortunately, when none of that works and the abuse starts, then I think, okay, I'm okay if he abused me for that 10%. I don't want him to go the whole 100. So then I'm going to let him do the 10 and protect me for the 90.
If that's...
Yeah. So I will allow him take advantage of whatever it is for the 10%, knowing that maybe this is enough to satisfy him, so that I can protect the 90% that
so I can survive until another day,
Exactly. So I did that, and some survivors do that. Some survivors will be like, okay, if I let him punch me now, he's not going to choke me, so I'm going to take the punch.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I got your
point. And you see
that,
and people who are not in that relationship, they think, you're so weak, you let this happen. But you're not inside of my brain, you don't know this is my way for surviving.
Yeah, I got your point.
Some people have to eat humane, or have to eat they have to drink some stuff, eat some stuff to survive, but that's because it's survival. When you're in survival mode, you'll do whatever it is to survive. So that's fighting back. You're only not fighting back when you're a survivor. Honestly, I've never met anybody. You're fighting all the time.
طب Ali, like being a survivor must for sure affect someone's daily life, habits, and friendships, social life, 100%. And everything. How can someone go from something like this and push himself to motivate himself and continue his life?
So like you said, when you're in an abusive relationship, you lose a lot. You can lose your job, you can lose your family, you can lose your friends, you can lose your home. You can 50% women who are on the street, 50% of the reasons of why they're on the street, 50% of those reasons is because of IPV, which is intimate partner violence. So women end up on the street because they're in an abusive relationship, because they need to survive, so they leave, they run away. they're on the street. How you can motivate yourself again, the exercise that I do is what motivated me. Speaking up, talking to my friends, talking to my family, trying to find purpose again in my day away from my relationship. What do I like to do? Start sitting with myself and ask what do I like to do before this person, or right now, maybe it changed. What do I like to do?
Yeah.
What are my passionate? What my
so like you're trying to like get back the energy into yourself.
Exactly. And you can do this while you're in the relationship. You don't have to leave to do that. The biggest thing and the best thing to do is find a community. That's the first thing. Find other survivors. So at Women Aware, we have a support group where survivors comes and meet each other and talk.
Okay.
So when you're meeting other survivors, you can see you're not the only one. You're not the only one who's experiencing this. So this already breaks the isolation. That it's okay, it's not your fault. This already breaks the shame and the embarrassment you feel. And this group or this professionals or this community start giving you tools on how to protect yourself. They also start putting you in direction of like, oh, there's this hobby group that's happening. There is this gym support group that's happening. So there are support system in the sense there are like art classes for survivors. We do it at Women Aware. We have art as therapy for survivors. Shelters that works for survivors. They have external community activities for survivors. Okay. So you can do these things to break isolation. That's the first thing. And then
and this highlights the importance of having a community that can support you, right?
100%. So this is the first step a survivor needs, and that's why I say to the friends and family, don't let them go. Respect their decisions of staying in the relationship. They don't want to leave, that's fine, but don't let them go. And for a survivor to find motivation, honestly, I don't think, although it looks very dark and sounds very dark, survivors have a lot of hope. They have a lot of hope in the relationship that someday is changing. Unfortunately, it doesn't. But they also have hope for themselves. I say hold on to that. Hold on to it and keep it there, because it does end. There is a life after it. Once you are ready to walk away, once you are ready to start your own chapter, you will feel that weight is gone. When I left, I cried because I loved this person. I cried for what happened to me. But I felt like I lost like half of my weight. I felt like, okay, finally I can breathe. And this already gave me like the motivation to continue the next day without him, because I want to breathe. I don't want to go back into that same feeling. So it's this little things that first starts. You're telling me, are they going to be motivated right away to go back to school, go back to work, do all these things? No.
It's going to be hard.
It's going to be hard. The post-separation journey is very, very hard. It took me 2 years of being depressed, of trying my best to go back into painting. I love to paint. Go back into cycling, go back into the gym. But like I chose what these little things are. They don't take too much energy, that I can do once in a while to make me feel good.
Don't you believe that volunteering at this organization was also one of like your coping mechanism?
100%. But I didn't do it right away, because that could be dangerous for me and it could be dangerous for other survivors.
Yeah.
You need to be a little bit healed, or you need
to heal.
To heal, exactly. You also need to, because when you leave that relationship, there will be time where you're gonna sit with yourself and go through it again and be like, did that really happen?
Yeah.
And so the phase of acceptance has to happen first. Once you accept it, then you can start heal. And in that time, you can start helping other people. So when I started volunteering, it was a few years after, and I knew I was ready. And I started volunteering for the organization that I'm the director of right now, a few years back. And the reason was that I went through something horrible. I survived it. And now I want to be there for other people who've experienced it the way I needed somebody to be there for me.
Yeah.
So I started volunteering, I started talking to other survivors, and in that, it did heal a whole other part of me.
Yeah.
It did heal a lot.
I look at you like you're glowing, and like you're now a director like of the organization which you volunteered at as a survivor. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry for like, you know, the relation you've been at, and I'm really, honestly, thank you so much for like sharing this, you know, on the podcast.
Thank you for asking.
Ali, what motivates you to like go to work every day?
It's the changes that we do in people's life. So
Can you tell me like a story like that, you know,
yeah,
not really, but like stayed, like, you know?
yeah, there are so many, honestly, in the shelter and at Women Aware, so they're two different things. It's a hard job, it's mentally demanding, and it's a dangerous job in one way or another, but we have few people in our organization that work with us now came to us as survivors.
Okay.
So they came to us, they were in the relationship, it was really bad. We helped them leave that relationship. We helped them find themselves again. The survivor does the majority of the work. We're just there to support.
Yeah.
And now these survivors are at Women Aware doing the exact same thing that we did for them for other survivors.
And
it's a full circle.
Yeah. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but you mentioned that not most of the volunteer and like people who work at this organization, you told me that
they're survivors.
They are survivors themselves.
Yes.
And this is a requirement, like
yeah. So to work at Women Aware or to volunteer at Women Aware, if you are in touch with survivors, so if you're supporting our client, you have to be a survivor yourself. But you can also work with us in social media, marketing, research team. We do have these teams as well. But if you are supporting survivors, you have to be a survivor themselves. We are the only organization in Quebec, I'm pretty sure in Quebec, but for sure in Montreal, that does survivors by survivors.
By survivors.
Yeah.
And this is very interesting because like that's what, you know, made me think about, you know, this organization. And it's actually I'm not gonna say, you know, that's how you do a productive work, but I feel like, you know, someone that passed through something could feel the other one more 100%. Than someone who did not.
100%.
Like as much as they could say, okay, I feel you, or like, you know, no, I did not, you know, pass
100%.
through this to feel you
100%.
fully. And this is amazing job.
Thank you. Yeah, lived experience is very important. So like I do have my educational background. Some people have educational background. You did certificates, you did that, you've been working in the field for a long time. All of that is very valid and qualifies you to work in the field. But the lived experience, what it does, it makes the survivor trust you, because when you tell them, I understand, they will not ask you, do you really? They say, I know you do, because they understand that you understand that.
So you just get rid of like this,
the little wall,
this wall that can make a huge difference in someone trusting you and, you know, opening
feeling heard.
up. Exactly.
Exactly, yeah.
I just wanted to know, like, have you ever thought that you'd be in your life right now doing this job? Like, have you ever imagined?
This exact job, no. But when I was growing up, I wanted to be a lawyer. My career choice was to be a lawyer. But the reason, as I was growing up, I kept asking myself the question, why do I want to be a lawyer? It's because I love justice. I love helping people. I love protecting people. But exactly who and what, I kept questioning until I realized women and children. I'm really passionate about human rights. I'm really passionate about women's rights and children's rights. And then I traveled a lot in my childhood around the world. And then I saw that no matter where I went, women were experiencing the same thing. Doesn't matter your religion, doesn't matter your color, doesn't matter your cultural background, your age, you're experiencing the same violence, you're experiencing the same discrimination. And if a woman experiencing it's been experienced with the children as well.
Yeah.
So then I decided that, okay, I will still go through law, but I'll be focusing on women and children.
Okay.
So that was my plan until I became in an abusive relationship where I was like, maybe law is not it. I still continued. I worked at a law firm, and I was like, that's not my...
You're still working on justice with women, like, you know.
But I was like, that's not exactly what I want to do. I want to be on the front line. I don't want to be in a court. I don't want to be behind my documents, all that. I want to be on the street, in the front line. The first person that a survivor goes to is me, and I'll take care of them, and I'll then put them in touch with lawyers, social workers, whatever they are, that I know they're safe and educated in this field.
بيلبق ليك and عن جد it suits you really well.
Thank you.
Really, what does success look like for someone, like, you know, going out of an abusive relationship?
It looks different for each person. So success is biased, right? It's a subjective thing. I think the biggest thing that all survivors share, so some people's success can be just leaving the relationship, others going back to having a relationship with their families and friends, going back to school, all of that. So that's different for each individual. But the one common thing, what success looks like for a survivor is being able to set boundaries without being afraid.
With everyone.
Yeah, friends, family, relationships, work, within themselves as well. Being able to trust their gut feeling, because that's the first thing that they get broken in an abusive relationship because of the gaslighting, obviously. So when you start really listening to yourself, really staying true to yourself, just hearing and seeing who you are and what you need and what you want, and then vocalizing it and respecting it and enforce other people to respect it. It doesn't have to be by rudeness or violence or any of that. Just you're not respecting it, you're crossing it. I already vocalize it, and I'm stepping away. And survivors, the success stories we see is that when they reach that stage, they made it.
Okay.
They have now healed the most broken thing that comes out of a relationship, an abusive relationship, which is that trust within themselves.
Because they found themselves again,
exactly.
You know, like,
trust your voice, and to be completely honest, it's the hardest thing for a survivor to do, because it can take years to be 100% sure of yourself. I can say it's been 11 years for me. Sometimes I struggle with it. I do listen to my gut feeling. When something is not feeling right, I start questioning, I start talking, I start listening to myself, and I will step away if there is a need for that. I am good now at setting boundaries. I respect my boundaries, and I enforce others to respect it. But it was a long journey, very, very long journey. Some people can do it in a year or two.
Yeah.
So really depends. But I feel for a survivor, that's the biggest success story, so to say, is that I have my power back, I have my voice back, I trust my gut feeling, and nobody externally can ever come in and take that away from me again.
Ali, if you could leave survivors and dreamers a piece of advice on how to make it in life, what would it be?
Stay passionate about the things you're passionate about, and believe in yourself even when everybody else around you is questioning you. I think that's the most important thing. Do something you're passionate about, do something that will make a change in the world. And it doesn't have to be something like me. It could be in any field. It could be in any background. It could be just a smile on the street, just to make the world a more positive place. Because we have so much darkness, and you as a survivor, if you experience so much darkness, that kindness, that compassion, that passion that you can give out and receive back will make a huge, huge change. I was passionate about something, I made it my whole life, and I couldn't have been happier. I go to work happy, I wake up happy, I love what I do, I love the people I'm around, because I'm so passionate about what I'm doing. So if you love it, continue it. If it's not giving you that happiness, find something that does.
Honestly, my heart is full that I still have people like you in this life, on earth, honestly. We should have more Alis, you know. I guess it's gonna be a wrap for today.
Thank you
so much for being on this platform.
Thank you for having me.
It means a lot.
Thank
and I guess
you.
I'm gonna have you on my podcast again soon.
That'll be fun.
That's gonna be fun, interesting, and honestly, the knowledge that I took, and I'm sure that my audience will take out of this podcast, it's very important.
I appreciate
and
it.
I want to tell everyone, thank you for watching this episode, and keep seeking your own version of success.